Happy Juneteenth, everybody. This is Talking Dirty. I am the Duke of David Schiele. That is not your Asia, but MiAsia, the beautiful MiAsia Symone. Today, we are talking about something, of course, the Falcons, but in a little bit of a different way. Because we've seen on social media, we've seen a few things. The cops that killed Breonna Taylor are still out there. But we've also seen black women stepping up and saying, hey, we would really like for black men to be on the front lines for us like we are for you all. And I think we've seen a lot of instances of black men disrespecting black women or, videos or whatever it is. And it made me wonder, I know a lot of black women who work in sports.
Yes.
But I'm not a woman. So I don't deal with the cross-sectionality of being a woman and being black. Mm-hmm. I'm a black male. So there are some privileges I have as a male. So MiAsia, you being a black woman in sports with a billion jobs, what are some of your experiences and some of the hardships that you've had to go through?
Well, so number one, being a woman in sports has always been a little bit more difficult than it has been being a woman in entertainment. So with me, I'm both sports and entertainment. That's why I have a million jobs. I think that the main thing when it comes to sports is credibility as a woman. If you're not credible, if you don't do your research, if you don't have the knowledge to conduct an interview or conduct a show, then you kind of get pushed out of the door on your first day. Like with guys, I think that if you have a mishap or you mislead, if you have some misleading information, you get chance after chance after chance after chance, and then you're out the door. But I think with women, it's kind of like one and done. Like that first impression is everything. And if you don't have a great first impression, then you kind of lose your credibility. So I think that's one of the things. But I can say that opportunities have definitely increased majorly over the past, I almost want to say the past 3 years. They have increased because, you're starting to see a lot more women who are on these sidelines or who are anchors, who are moderating and things of that nature. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, I do still see a lot of other races or Caucasian or white women who still get more jobs than the black women of color. But I still see those black women coming in and still, sitting at those seats and at those major tables.
I know it's definitely something that is not necessarily new in this business. What was some of the advice that they gave you when you said, okay, I'm gonna do entertainment, I'm gonna do sports, and they said, okay, what were some of those things that they warned you about or gave you advice on when it came to navigating this game as a black woman?
Well, navigating this game as a black woman, the advice that I received was to, number one, pick a lane. Create your niche, find your niche. Because everybody, when you first come in, you don't want to sound or look like anyone. You want to come in with something different. You want to bring something different to the table, which is going to create longevity for you in the industry. So the number one piece of advice that I always get is, hey, what's your niche? Like, what are you known for? And that's always something that is not easy to define or say, first day out. Sometimes you have to figure it out as you go along. But as long as you have the foundation and the basics and you know how to speak, you know how to read, you know how to write, then those fundamentals will create your lane, and your personality will be defined in that.
Absolutely. Well, we do have a guest today. We do have an expert per se. We have a good friend of mine, Nicole Hutch. She is a sports anchor / reporter at KALB in Louisiana. She went to Howard and she played tennis. So she's an athlete. She covers sports. Sports is all in her family. So we want to welcome in Nicole Hutch, aka Hutch in the Clutch. And we'll go ahead and continue our discussion.
Hi, Nicole.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I look crazy.
You do not look crazy.
Hot mess. It's hot outside.
It is.
We gave you a little bit of an intro, told everybody what you do, but just so people really know, how deep does sports run in your family?
It runs pretty deep. My dad played in the NFL. He played for the Chicago Bears. Then he went to play for the Buffalo Bills, but then he tore his ACL. And then, my whole family, they've all played sports. I grew up playing sports. I played soccer, ran track. I actually was terrible at track, so I'm not even gonna, do that one. But I played college tennis at Howard. So yeah, it runs pretty deep.
I'm getting soccer vibes. I'm definitely getting soccer vibes right now.
People say that, but I'm like, I wish I would have kept it up. But my dad was like, "Yeah, I think you're better at an individual sport." I'm like, okay, thanks.
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. Today is all about being a woman of color. And of course, we have lighter skin, and sometimes we face adversity, with that. And sometimes we may not. So I just want to know basically how it has affected you, being a woman of color covering sports. What has been your top 2 challenges?
I would say that honestly, being a woman in sports, there's just a certain standard, or expectations that you have to meet. But being a Black woman in sports is just so much harder. I feel like you face more critiques. Me personally, well, at the station I'm at, I love it, but it's just, I feel like they hold me to a higher standard, than some of my other coworkers. So I'd say just overall, Black women in sports, we just have to grind so much harder than, preferably a white woman, and that's not to, bash them or anything. It's just, I feel like they don't really have to work as hard, in my opinion, because, we're Black, but that's just the real world. That's in every aspect of life,
Honestly, I think, David, I think you should know this. You don't have these issues because you have a low haircut, but I think women of color or Black women often have to deal with hair issues. For some reason, it's always about, our image is important, but for some reason, when it comes to Black women in hair, I don't know if curls are as accepted as straight hair. They want you to have long, blonde, straight hair. And I think that's one of the things that I encounter, because you try to keep an image where your hair is nice and neat, but if you have a natural curl to it, for some reason, they don't accept it.
Yeah, that's crazy that you said that. I would say that is a challenge as well, because when I first got there, I had to do a sew-in. I had to, I was just trying different things, because I'm like, how do I make sure my hair doesn't, I guess, look Black, because I don't want them to say oh, I don't like her hair curly, because they've done that to my roommate before. They just said oh, I love, your anchor hair. And she was like,
what is anchor?
Anchor hair, there's no such thing. So I feel my personal opinion, I rock my curly hair. I don't think I'm ever going to put heat on my hair again. So I'm just embracing it at the end of the day.
So one other thing that's, I think, is pretty cool is, even though this is your first market, you found yourself covering the national championship game with LSU.
Yeah. Like that from Saints background too. Sorry, I just had to.
Well, I mean, this is Drew Brees getting sacked. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
If I lean this way,
Falcon territory.
Yeah, you forgot. This show is called Talking Dirty. This is a dirty dirty. This is not pro Saints in any form or fashion at any moment. But I think I was gonna ask, being in that type of environment, media at the national championship game, how many Black women did you see, and how did you kind of navigate that space?
And honestly, there were maybe 3. There was me, obviously Maria Taylor, and I think Shakira was there. I think she was there. But Black men, of course, fits, but Black women, I don't recall seeing that many. And that's what was the crazy part, because it's I'm actually covering this national championship as a Black woman in sports. That you can't say that happens often, especially in your first job. It was a surreal moment for me, and just an amazing experience being a part of seeing the different media and getting to connect with different people in the industry who are obviously way above me, but it was pretty amazing for me.
Can you say that we're growing though? Like we're starting to fill those spaces in. Like, we're coming up. You know, I think like by the year, more Black women are filling these positions and getting in here, covering everything, and are credible and know what we're talking about. So I
think they're starting to look for more Black people, you know, Black women in sports too, just to kind of get more of a diverse kind of atmosphere. But I think that they're starting to look for more of us, and that's what's opening the doors for us too.
Exactly. I think especially after, being that today is Juneteenth, this is a big holiday for everybody. And I really think that after the protesting and after the rioting and everything that's been going on, it's really opened their eyes more. And I think that we have created change, and we're creating change in the moment. And I feel like this is going to open more doors. And so it may not always be as positive. We're definitely on the front lines. It's definitely a battle, you know, but I do think that when the smoke clears from all of this stuff, I think we'll definitely have say so, you know, being that the NFL has literally, honored Juneteenth. You know, they're welcoming this holiday. They're starting to allow Black people to have a voice. You know, before, you know, it's always kind of iffy with athletes having a voice and speaking out and saying things without a publicist. But I think that right now in this moment, they want to hear what we need to say. And I want to bring up Colin Kaepernick because he long time ago made the statement that he was kneeling not to diss the country, but he was kneeling to stand for against police brutality, and they don't understand it, and now they do. Now they feel like, all right, we get it, we're sorry. So now they're trying to find so many ways to kiss up and make it better because they realize that they were wrong.
Yeah, and I think it also started just because more athletes are speaking out as well. With that video that they made with Deshaun Watson, D-Hop, you know, like, I think they're really starting to get it now because so many athletes are starting to take a stand for, you know, people who don't really have a voice, and that's what's so good about it as well.
I want to ask both of you a question, not just for me to know, but Black men that are watching. What are some of the things that we've been doing wrong when it comes to supporting Black women, and what can we do better going forward, whether that's within sports or just in general?
I would say that is a very, very good question, actually, because I don't think that people think, you know, oh my God, Black women are not being supported. I don't think people look at it like that until you just said it, and it's like, wow, we're not being supported the way that we should. And you know, like how we're in the streets, we're on the front lines, you know, Black Lives Matter, you know, stop killing our Black men. But then, you know, there's I do not want to mess this lady's name up. The activist who was found missing, who died, Oluwatoyin Salu. I don't want to say her name wrong, but she was a very, very heavyweight activist, and she went missing. And during that time, right now there are Black men who are, you know, being found in these trees, hanging from nooses, and then you have Black women who are being raped and bodies are being thrown in lakes. And I really just feel like you don't have Black men who are running to the front line saying, you know, protect our Black queens. What are we doing? You don't have that. You don't have that. But you do have the women who are, and I don't know if this is true or not, or if this has anything to do with it, but women are so used to being submissive to men and to their kings and to their husbands. And men are not as submissive or as supportive. You look at women as the backbone and the ones who can speak out and have a voice. And so I feel like we don't have that major support, but maybe it's something as simple as saying, hey, kings, where are y'all? We need you. Maybe if someone steps up and makes it known that we're not getting that support, then maybe, because I think it's not an obvious thing. I think it's one of those things that if you dig deep, then it becomes obvious. But right now, I don't think anyone's thinking like that.
Yeah, you basically just took the words out of my mouth. But I would say, David, I think I was just telling you this a couple of days ago. Whenever I'm scrolling through Twitter or anything, do you ever see, you know, Black men just like bashing us in a way? Mm-hmm. I've seen that just so many times. It's always Black girls always got bad attitudes. Black girls this, Black girls that. And it's like, have you looked back to really, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it's just me. I think it's just a matter of like, stop bashing us, you know, just accept us for who we are. If we do have bad attitudes, so what? You know, we're steady protecting y'all in every aspect that we can. So I feel if we just get that support, it would just change things a lot.
Well, that was an amazing answer from both of you, and it was very authentic. So I appreciate that. And Nicole, I want to thank you for jumping on. It was low-key last minute, but thank you for jumping on and speaking very candidly about just going through the sports world as a Black woman. And we know you have a very long and successful career ahead of you.
Clutch.
Thank you.
Yeah, they call her Hutch in the Clutch. They call her Hutch in the Clutch for a reason. They call her Hutch in the Clutch for a reason.
The clutch.
Shut up. Thank y'all for having me, though. It was really great talking to y'all.
Yeah, and we'll definitely stay connected. We have more coming up, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So yes, we want to thank Nicole Hutchinson for joining us today. She gave us some really, really good feedback, a really good, great perspective on just being a woman of color in sports. And I think I appreciate it more because just to see another woman doing what it is that I do, it's like when we come in contact with each other, it means a lot because it's always male dominated and it's changing slowly but surely. It's becoming, I think, more leveled out. And you know, David, I really want to thank you for asking those great questions because those are points and pieces that people don't pay attention to. So for all the women who are tuned in, make sure we want your feedback. Make sure you leave comments. You like the video. We would love your feedback. If we missed anything, if there's something else that you feel we should talk about, if we need to have a whole nother episode for it while all of this is going on, you know, let us know because women, we matter too. Black men, Black women, Black lives, we all matter. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel? I just want to know from a male's perspective. I know it was all about the ladies, but David, how do you feel, you know, like you're eventually going to marry someone. You're eventually going to have a daughter, maybe one of these days. What does it mean to you to be in a time where you get to experience both ends, women and men going through this?
Yeah, I mean, it's opened my eyes because, I mean, I've heard it before. You know, my mom has said that, you know, Black women are on the bottom of the totem pole. And I had a friend tell me a couple months ago that, you know, whenever Black men go through something and something traumatic happens to a Black man, it is a Black issue, period. It's a Black issue. So Black men and women are on the front lines and are marching and are trying to get things changed and start petitions and all kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But when it's a Black woman going through something and a Black woman says, you know, I'm being oppressed, I'm dealing with the cross-sectionality of being a woman and being Black, it becomes simply just a Black women issue and not a Black issue, just a Black women issue. And right. So I've really seen that in the last few days where Black women have said, hey, we really, really, really need Black men to step up and be there for us on the front lines and stop dehumanizing us and disrespecting us.
Right. And
the response I've seen, not from a lot, I wouldn't necessarily say a majority. I think a majority of us men have been quiet. Mm-hmm. But I will say the men that I have seen speak have been pretty ignorant in saying, well, you know, you guys are trying to divide the race, make it a man versus woman thing when we all need to be together. And in a sense, you know, someone's rebuttal was, you just gave a similar argument to the All Lives Matter thing.
Right.
To where if in the Black community, in the Black nation, as some will call it, if the Black women in the Black community said, we need your help because there is an issue that we're having amongst ourselves between Black women and Black men, mm-hmm. and the response from Black men is all Black people have issues, mm-hmm. then it's like we're dismissing that.
Exactly.
We are dismissing what's going on.
Exactly.
Yes, we all face things because we're Black, but again, you guys deal with being Black and a woman in America.
Yes.
And so, yes, for centuries, you guys have been on the front lines and you guys have been very strong. You know, women started the Black Lives Matter movement. Women are starting these petitions for George Floyd and for Ahmaud Arbery. Women are the ones who are organizing these protests.
Exactly.
And that energy just hasn't been returned from the men when it's the women's time to be like, oh my goodness, we really need help. So I've really seen that, and it's not okay for me as a black man to be silent about it. It's okay. What can I really do? And it starts with checking your friends and holding yourself accountable, reaching out to the black women in your life, and just checking on them and protecting them and making sure they're good. Because honestly, I have 5 cousins. 4 of those cousins are young black girls who will grow up to be black women. Mm-hmm. I have 3 aunts. Mm-hmm. You know, all of my blood aunts are the only uncles I have are by marriage, not by blood. Right. You know, I came from a black woman, right? Like, I know my grandmothers on both sides. I knew my great grandmother. I knew my great grandmother. So I've interacted with black women from all kinds of generations. Mm-hmm. And to see that the things that they were dealing with back then still exist today within the black community, those things need to be addressed.
Well, I want to thank you so much, because that was a mouthful and it definitely hit home. And I'm so glad that you're on the same page that we're on. How are you celebrating Juneteenth today? What are you doing?
You know, I'm probably going to end up dropping the video on my page. Okay. It's going to be a HBCU. I've been doing this thing with HBCU versus SEC.
Okay.
So I'm going to have an HBCU team take on an SEC team. I've been doing it. I haven't won yet. But if there was ever a time the black school needed to win, the HBCU team needs to win, It's today. It is today. So look for that. I don't know who's going to play who yet, but Morgan State or Bethune-Cookman is going to take the field. And I hope I can lead them to victory, because it's literally in my hands. It's a video game. Yes. So if I fail, I'm sorry. We're going to keep trying till we get it.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll check that out. So make sure y'all go on his Twitter, his Instagram. Check out, what is it? Deacon_Schiele, right?
Yeah, Deacon_Schiele on Twitter and on Instagram. And then on YouTube, I am 5 Wars Deep, DEAC, 5 Wars Deep. That's my gaming name.
Yes, and then for me, today for Juneteenth, I'm just going to celebrate by, I think I saw like everyone saying, hey, it's a blackout type of day, so don't buy anything, don't purchase anything, let's just celebrate the culture. So I made sure that I got everything I needed on the day before yesterday, so that I could use these 2 days to like really just lock in and celebrate what the culture is, what the culture stands for in this time. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us for Talking Dirty. This is the Juneteenth episode. Make sure if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you just want to leave feedback, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below. And it's Deacon Schiele and MiAsia Symone, Talking Dirty.